Quentin is friends with a whole lot of old ladies, and one of the old ladies was going to New Zealand.
Yeah, she was going to New Zealand for 6 months or something like that.
And she needed someone to house sit.
Yeah.
We need a place to live,
so
rent-free, while we figure ourselves out.
Yeah, so we did that. And then I think from there we went to Sona Club.
But before we go there, because that was also a very tough time in our relationship.
Yeah.
Only because I think later on, before we moved into Bev's house, which was in like January or February, we had discovered that we're pregnant again. And it was with twins, and unfortunately we found out that we had a miscarriage. And then I went in to have my womb cleared and to put in a Mirena, and then literally a week later Miley was now in hospital.
Yeah.
She was 6 months old in hospital, vomiting, high temperature. No one knows what is going on, what's happening. This tiny little body with like drips and blood and all sorts of things. And my reaction was just, okay, to it all. Literally, I numbed myself out completely. I didn't feel my way through the miscarriage. I didn't feel my way through Mali being in hospital. In fact, I resented Quentin for feeling and having feelings and, being expressive of those feelings. I was just like, why can't you just swallow them like the rest of us type thing? And I think that kind of then created a callus in myself. And for me, it was the toughest time of our relationship because of the fact that I refused to emotionally engage with all the stuff that was happening, and we're living in someone else's space, and I didn't realize how space sensitive I am until we arrived in someone else's space, and so that was a really tough time.
Yeah, I think that by far was the toughest, because for me the experience was that you were there physically, but that's the only day you were. And the concern was, at first it was for me, then it was now for Mali. Because if you remember, during those times, I spent, I was trying to be mom and dad, and then because you went into this bubble, and all that mattered was Brembo, and so I was feeling like we are a sideshow. So a resentment also started to build on my side, to a point where I spent nights trying to figure out how we would work apart. Yeah, like how is this going to work? Because how is this going to work? Because it was just
a merry-go-round.
And I think energy is such a funny thing, because once we realigned and our energies became one, things started falling into place.
And even the conversation we had that got us to align. So we've been doing this back and forth now for like a couple of months, 9 months. On my side, at that point, I was the only one bringing in small, but some kind of consistent income. And I felt like, I started to resent the fact that I was the one, bringing in money. And then I had this conversation with Quentin, mind you, at this point, I'm also jealous that Quentin is spending all this time with Miley, even though I'm escaping to the office. And I started to have this conversation about, I'm feeling overburdened. And, we had this really honest conversation where Quentin was like, I feel like my heart is breaking because I feel like to you I'm a burden. And when you're in a team, if Messi scores, the whole of Barcelona wins. It doesn't that goal doesn't go to Messi, it goes to the whole team. And so we're clearly then not a team if you feel like you're the only one scoring, and so if no one else is pulling your weight. I'm the one staying at home with Mali to enable you the space to go and, you know, create an income for us, you know, as a family. And so for the first time, I understood that, you know, my husband's heart was broken. Well, at the time, my person's heart was broken, and that I had something to do with that. And, you know, when I had that realization is when I think then things started to clear up. Because you also shared that it's the first time you ever considered us, you know, working no longer as a team, but, you know, as two separate people. And that shocked me because in my head, living apart was never, ever an option. So it really woke me up to how unconscious and how much I had checked out of the relationship.
I think from my side, the experience was that someone had to be the parent.
Yes, exactly.
So I could easily have also gone hard into sorting out the financial side and just going to work. But all that would have done is that, you see, at times is the things that you say before you become something. One of the biggest things I've always said to myself is, before I become a parent, I've always said that my child will not be raised by a helper or a nanny. No, it's not going to happen. My dream, if things worked well, was to have my office, and then my office would have a nursery just adjacent it.
Yeah.
And Mali, you know, the nanny, you know, that's the space I wanted to create. Those are the visions I had.
Mm.
You see, even now, you know, she should be blessed with a second child. That's the same thing. I honestly believe that I can make money at any point in my life. I can make it now, I can, you know, and I can create wealth at any point in my life. But no amount of money can buy back
that time.
that time. You know, I got to watch her walk for the first time. I got to, there was a lot. I mean, the hair thing now, you know, now I do her hair. I mean, I've been doing her hair since she was a child.
18 months, yeah.
I love that. I enjoy that. I enjoy the bond. I enjoy that. And now you guys have your own relationship and the bond going on. And you only build those things by giving them time. You see? So for me, it was that. And also, I felt like at times we were competing against each other. There wasn't
we went to the team.
There was a competition. Oh, I brought in more money than you. Oh, I did it. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did this. So it became competition within the same team, and nothing good comes of it.
Yeah.
Because it was an unhealthy competition. A healthy competition is us going out to say we're going to do our best to bring back as much as we can into our home. A healthy competition is we want to all go out there and score.
Yeah.
You see, and so that's how I felt, which is why I think at some point I brought in some mediators.
Yes. Mom Winnie came.
Mom Winnie at some point.
You know, to try. Just.
Yeah, so.
But I realized that I had a very bad, I don't even want to say bad, a very fearful relationship towards money. I attached a lot of my worth to the success of my business / how much money I could bring in. And so the less money I could bring in, the more my self-esteem would go down the drain, right? And so it would create a lot of strain in our relationship. And so that time also made me aware of my abundance blocks and my unhealthy expectations of what money is supposed to do, or what my business's success is supposed to do in terms of my own self-worth and in terms of my own self-love, right? So it started the journey of also unpacking my abundance blogs. You know, I started doing some courses and trying to get better with how what I attach to money, you know, so that it doesn't affect our relationship in such a severe way. Because really that's what I was doing, right? I was going to Brainbow to try to make money so that we'll be successful, so that I could feel worthy of this beautiful family that I had. So that time helped me to start addressing that. And then we moved back with Umama.
No, I went to Esonic Lands and even...
Oh, did we go to... Okay,
yeah,
yes,
because through all this, it's funny how time is so sneaky. You think this happened over this?
Maybe.
Sounds like 20 years. It was a short time. Then went to Esonic Lands. And now the thing was that as much as we might have sorted ourselves to some extent emotionally, there was still a lot of work to be done, because we didn't go there 100% sorted out.
Yeah.
We were at least at a place where we...
on the same side.
On the same side. We on the same team now. We're trying to rebuild. And so we lived a life whereby our lives were just about paying rent. That's what we live for, paying rent. Just
staying afloat, paying rent.
Staying afloat, paying rent. And even within that time, you know, my car got stolen, then got another car that was bleeding money. And
was just an abundance sucker.
Yes, and here you complain, and we had a car that worked fine, but somehow we hadn't learned as well how to work together and share a resource like a car, because then we felt like we need two cars. And
that was a fight, because it felt like to you, I'm bad at scheduling and I'm a bad communicator. I'm working on it. And so I wouldn't communicate my movements with Quentin. And so Quentin always felt like a by the way kind of thing, or whatever he had to do was like a by the way thing to me. And so he then concluded that it's better if he has his own car, because we keep fighting about scheduling.
Yeah, no, you see, for me, I always use that term, feels like an FU vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you tell someone that I've got this and that to do, so do you mind arriving at this time so that you allow me to do this and this and that, and then it consistently doesn't happen. It feels like it's too consistent to be a mistake. So my mind then says, when something's this consistent, it's not a mistake. There's intent there. So it can be subconscious, it can be in whatever form, but there is a resentment energy there to not comply.
Yeah.
So I thought, no, now instead of us going back to a place where now we are fighting all the time, because that's what that was creating, I then thought the solution was to get another car. But the other car, as we then discovered, hindsight, then meant more money.
Yeah, it was taking more than it was giving.
Yes.
It wasn't a car that was profiting us, only because the energy with which, right, I was avoiding actually engaging with how you were feeling. And so the energy of the way that the car was bought made itself known by always breaking down and always having issue after issue after issue, because our energy from buying the car was never okay. It had an energy of separation and you go do your thing, I go do my thing, type situation. And then we sold that car and we're like, actually, so Quentin comes back and says, how long are we going to do this trying to pay rent and stay afloat game that we keep playing? I suggest we move back to back with your mom, pay off our debts and buy a house. And I was like, is this guy insane? How are we gonna buy a house? So Quentin then is like, let's move back to Houghton, which brought about another pain body because I cried because it was like, you want me to go back to my mother and look like the biggest failure that ever walked the planet type situation. And it made it very clear that I actually need to really work on healing my relationship with my mom.
Yeah, because I think we come from such a different space in terms of relationship with our mothers. The biggest thing at times during the hard times was say, if my mom was here. So the family I grew up in was a family of women where there was my gran, there was my mama Mdala, there was my mom, and everyone was everyone's enabler to move forward. So for me, a mother or a mama Mdala or a mama Mngano, like in family, the idea is that we move each other forward because that's how we stay strong as a family. So even with some of the older friends I've got, the common denominator was always, when I started my first job, when I started this, my parents helped me secure a house. So I've got old friends who have never known rent in their lives because when they secured their first job, that first income, because they didn't have credit record, their parents helped them get that first house. So I realized that it's taboo or it's unheard of in black society, and honestly, I don't understand why. And I think at times as black people, we need to look ourselves in the mirror because
we want each other to, you must struggle to build.
We are so invested
I struggled,
in struggle.
so you must struggle as my child.
We are so invested in struggle as a people, whereby those people that we look at and we say, they've got privilege, they've got all this. So some of them don't come from a background of privilege. They supported each other to a point of privilege. But with us, we're like, no, I suffered for 20 years, you must suffer for 20 years to also get to that privilege. Whereas on the other side, people who suffered for 20 years want to avoid the next generation also taking 20 years to get to where they are by assisting them up. And I think as blacks, sometimes, I don't know, I really don't know, because one would think that's what Ubuntu more or less is.
Yeah.
But
I am because you are.
But
as I prosper, so do you. But yeah.
So I could see when, because I'd said that to you a while ago. Say no, I'm a foreign national. The banks don't look at me and think credit. I have to actually have the physical credit. Our businesses were young at the time, and the only person with the physical credit was Mom. And so the logical thing would be to say, no, we will carry all the expenses and all the bills. We just need your credit. To secure, because
before we even asked her to come, partner with us to buy the house, just from a credit point of view, just moving back in, creating that relief so that we can pay off our debts was such a hard thing to approach.
You cried.
I cried. I cried my eyes out. I was like, so don't make me do this.
You said something about failure was there, and I couldn't understand because I kept wishing that if my mom was alive, at least there'll be a plan B. But in South Africa, in terms of family, it's just, we don't have elders here. It's young people who are in similar positions to myself and are trying to build. So eventually, I think you spoke to Mom.
You spoke to Mom?
No, you initially did.
But yes, she said no.
No.
Because I didn't paint a full picture of.
So I'm like, no, man. I think something doesn't seem. Something just didn't feel right. So I went to Simo, and I explained the situation to say, hey, we pay rent of X amount, because our rent was more than the bond we're paying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same situation, I'm sure, for many young black people, in that, you literally paying someone else's bond plus off. So I explained that to my she was like, what? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, and you told her how much debt we're actually in, because I didn't mention
and then
that
I
part.
told her how much debt we are in, as well as how much we pay and how much this sort of starter home that we envision for ourselves would cost us as a
Family.
as a family. And I think then she was like, no, Bandrabam, you can. Honestly, she was
wasn't
like,
aware.
I wasn't aware it's that bad. So I think the second stage where your relationship with Ma grew, and I think even her, she sort of
Softened also.
softened, and I think she sort of opened up a bit more and became more accessible, just even to just talk to. Because on top of all that, there were the matters of we're not married
With a child.
with a child, and now
We come from a Christian family.
She's my mama Zala, and like what?
A baby daddy is living with her. It's awkward.
It was
it's
just.
awkward.
But I think that's the beauty of it, because through that we got to experience all this together. We got to communicate, and I think the openness of it, whereby even with the wedding, if we had forced the wedding, then
no.
imagine what.
Oh,
it
hell
would have
no.
been. Yes.
No, it would have been a mess.
Yes.
It would have really been a mess.
So we all came to that consensus that no, like.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
Let's put first things first.
Sort
A
our
roof
life.
over our heads.
Yes. And so we then squashed our bond within
Our debt. We squashed our debt in 3 months.
Within a short period of time. Things began to open up. I had that project with the University of Joburg. And then we saved up enough for
a deposit.
For a deposit for a bond. We then approved a bond of 1.1.
No, that you're talking about the other house now.
Oh yes. For our first house, we saved up the deposit for a bond. We paid that off, and
yeah, at this point our relationship was such in a good place that she was comfortable to come on board and sign on, as a co-owner to the house, even though financially she wouldn't need to do anything. But yeah, it enabled us, because we got such a good credit rate because of her. She's like, your interest rate is better than mine. And yeah, we moved into our first house, we renovated, and in that renovation process, we, something sparked within us that we really love renovating spaces. We love creating spaces that really fit us. But yeah, living in that complex, we weren't equally yoked. And Quentin was in the trustees of that complex, and it was another stressful time because they were just
a lot of
financial in the reds, too many students living in living there, and so there's always noise, complaints every 2 seconds. It's just, he was highly stressed. It was like, I felt so bad because I'm the one who had found it, so I'm like, I felt horrible.
You felt bad on multiple places. So you felt bad in that you believe that we can't sell it again because we had already asked for a favor to acquire this house.
Now a few months later, we're like,
I don't want this.
Gotta move.
So anyway, as part of the trustees, we worked hard to fix some of the issues, which then helped the property prices, because within a short period of time, we managed to get the property evaluation and value, like not only for our place, but just for the properties on at that complex up, so that by the time nearing our wedding, we decided to sell. I think in that 8 months, the value had gone up by 120K or more. So we at least managed to sell for a profit to secure our new place.
My poor mom was like, "You are what? You just moved in like less than a year ago. What do you mean you want to leave?" I'm like, "For the sake of our relationship, we have to move."
No, for the sake of me not murdering someone or being murdered, we had
Gotta
to
move.
We moved, but I think then our relationship had evolved in to such a place whereby I think communication is key. You should be free to say anything to me, and I should be free to say anything in terms of how I feel to you. In most cases, in a respectful manner, but we're not robots. Sometimes you should feel like you're in a relationship where you're allowed to explode. There are boundaries whereby, in this family, we're not a violent family. No one puts their hands on anyone. No one.
Even the way we use our words.
Even the way we use our words. When you say something with passion, like, I'm tired of this or that.
Like the fight we had yesterday about the dishes.
Yes, you see. So one should feel free to do that. I sometimes worry about this world we live in whereby
We must be PC.
things must be all monotone, and we're emotional people, we are passionate people, and at times we won't always say things in the way that we should. But if you're a conscious person, if you're a person with awareness, you know when you've been rude. You go back when you come and apologize. Yeah. See, so that's where we are, and
we got married last year. Which was also such an amazing manifestation, because when the year started and we're like, okay, it's been 5 years now, we need to get married. We're like, but there is no physical money to do like it is. And we just both were like, you know what, let's just, I did. You were a little bit more stressed because there was lobola thing.
I'm like, this woman is crazy. This woman's crazy. I've got students upstairs making noise right now, and I don't want to be. Now you're talking about weddings, and now there's this place, this house that I don't want to be in. And so it seemed like, honestly, when you mentioned it, it looked like the biggest mountain ever. But your belief, and which is why I've experienced your manifestation and your belief so many times, and each time it shocks me. I'll be like, this woman's crazy, and I won't. You know me, I don't sleep. I'm spending all night trying to figure out things. She goes to bed and wakes up and meditates and says everything's going to be okay. And true to form, like, things have worked out almost. In fact, I can't even say almost every time.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time when I'm like, hey,
we had such a beautiful,
the best
wedding, and things just aligned so perfectly. Let's have one.
As a sign of our marriage, with my body I honor you. All that I am I give to you. And all that I have I share with you. Within the love of God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I receive this ring
I receive this ring
as a sign
as a sign
of our marriage covenant.
of our marriage covenant.
In the name of the Lord, I declare that they are husband and wife.
I got this message for you, DT. I do y'all for my all.
And then lockdown happened.
Beautiful lockdown. So
And mind you, we had such a great beginning of the year. You know, in Feb, we were in London. Quentin was, one of his clients is in London. So we were able to do a honeymoon / his working type situation. We had so many great projects on both of our sides lined up from a business point of view.
there was ching ching. Yeah, I mean 2020 was just started off beautifully,
Yeah.
looking beautifully. It looked like the stars were just aligned. They were just about to go, and then Corona just came and smashed
Lord, to the ground.
to the ground. And I think I took it badly. You took it well.
I did not. You know me. I'm a good actress. I did not take it well
I died.
on the inside.
Died on the inside. Like I literally, it's like when you have this balloon that you've worked so hard on, and now all that's left for you to do is blow air into it. And you're blowing air into your balloon, and it's just becoming such a big balloon, and you're so happy because you're like, oh, we're cut for this balloon. It's really, it's paying back. Then someone just brings a pin and goes, boom,
Lockdown.
and your balloon is just little bits and bobs everywhere. That's what COVID was.
Because Quentin is in the event space. So obviously the event space, as many spaces, were just obliterated.
Yeah. So all future plans, all new projects, all new clients. There are some clients which were new clients, and there are nice projects there. Everything went to smoke. And my mind just, I try and think of solutions, and when I can't, my mind can't accept it, and my body just shuts down because I'm not getting out of bed. There's no point. So I just
Yeah, he would sleep
sleep endlessly.
like 20 hours a day. At the same time, I was in my own upside down because the same thing had happened to me in my business. And then there's homeschooling because Miley had just started school and then lockdown, and so now we're doing online schooling, and I'm feeling like I'm doing this online schooling by myself, and a lot of pain bodies around school came up for me because I realized I actually have some undealt with traumas around school, because the aggression that I approached my child with was just unwarranted, and it made me realize that I had a lot to heal from. And that's how actually conversations with the love activist actually started, because it was lockdown, it was homeschooling, and then there was a week where there were 3 COVID deaths back to back, 2 on my side and 1 on Quentin's side, and I was just like, I'm not okay. I don't know what to do. And God said to me, you need to self-soothe. You need to figure out ways and strategies to soothe yourself. And so I'm like, I'm going to use people as my accountability partners to self-soothe, before I can ask Quentin to self-soothe, before I can ask so-and-so to self-soothe, I need to create the space for myself to self-soothe. And funny enough, even though we were in the upside down and, you know, every other day you are hearing about this person getting divorced and this person getting divorced, our relationship was never the thing that...
Yeah, no, I mean, even that first phase of lockdown was not horrible. I think as it became longer, I got a bit more and more into my black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of us, I mean, to be honest, the lockdown, I think, brought us even closer because
We're stuck together in one house.
the way Dave Chappelle coined it was that what COVID did was it locked us up with our decisions.
Lord.
So for me, I looked at what I was locked up with and I'm like, yay. I made good decisions because honestly I was happy. I mean, you took care of me. Your positive energy brought me out of my upside down, where like I could at least resurrect a few projects, and so I think lockdown for me wasn't. It was bad from a business side, but I think as a family, you know, there were incidents of people not being well and friends losing loved ones. That was hard. But between us, there wasn't that, I'm stuck with this person vibe. You know, I mean, I really loved us. I really loved some of the routines and things we were doing.
Yeah, and you know, I suppose because we were now forced to be creative, lockdown for me, because I had just been working on another project and I realized that I give way too much of myself to other people's things and not enough to myself. And so it's time to build my own things that don't have to do with Rainbow, that don't have to do with my business, but that are for me. And so the more I did that, the better I felt and the better things got just all around. You know, projects, applications that I had made got approved, and projects that I had developed got approved, and I'm now looking really rich. But I think for me, I'm now realizing that projects and business cannot be where my worth comes from. My worth and my happiness, I have to get to that feeling place of loving myself before I'm expecting other people, other things to get me there and to get me into my vortex and to get me vibrationally aligned to all the things that I want. I need to get myself vibrationally aligned with all the things that I want. And the more I practice that, the better I feel and the more clarity I feel, and the easier things are coming to us or are coming our way. So yeah, I feel like we are rolling in our purpose, because I had started in my intro, I had said that every relationship has a purpose, and you know, we're still doing marriage counseling, and our pastor said something so profound that our relationship creates generational momentum for prosperity for Mali and other generations afterwards. And so as we succeed as a couple and as individuals, not just on a financial point of view, but from a emotional, mental, spiritual point of view, the more we create momentum for our children to pick up on and make that even bigger and even better than what we started out as. And so, Diddy, what do you think is the purpose of our relationship?
I think it is that, because that's my purpose. If I've always said to myself that, you know, as much as we say it in other ways, like, I don't want my child to go through the struggles I went through. Like, that's for me is a no. That's a nonsense for me. So I want Mali's problems to be at a
Way higher levels. Literally, our dream is that this is Mali's life. I'm so annoyed because I now have to fly to Tokyo to look at another property in our family's billion-dollar property portfolio. And, just finding a great real estate company is so hard. These are the conversations Mali must have.
Yeah.
It can't be, I'm trying to pay rent. That can't be the conversation Mali is having.
And I think I worded it incorrectly. I want Mali's challenges to be different. There's challenges, there's problems. Yeah. I want her challenges to be different. Problems, you can't articulate them. They just, they vary. They are so personal. It's just, I'm saying her challenges. There are common challenges that, even though we grew up in different countries, we have. And for me, I don't want those for my child. I don't want, like you're saying, rent. Rent is a common challenge for a lot of our generation. Whereas I've got friends who are of a different race to me, who rent is not, I've never heard that word come out of their mouth. So that's what I want my child. I want my child to not know what rent is, to not understand how the process of rent works.
Besides collecting rent.
Yeah, yes,
from
besides
tenants.
collecting it, yes, like not even be involved in that. So the work I do is that for me, for us, a lot of us, is where a parent says, I want my child to be the first one with a degree. You see, those are the type of things. But now we've got the degrees now. So what's next? Step?
What's the next part of the momentum?
Yeah, so for me, that's it. I want her to say, I always watch these shows on Discovery and so forth, where someone says their dream was to work with the penguins in whatever place where there are penguins, and the job doesn't pay. It's just something they're passionate about, and that's what life is. It's about passion. It's about love. So, we can't just limit our abundance to money. Abundance is also freedom. I'm free to chase like butterflies all over the world. That's what I do for my life. I chase butterflies, and I record new species of them, and I conserve them, I look after them. So those things, when I watch those shows, the common denominator, you don't see a lot of black people doing those shows. No, you don't see a lot of black people doing those shows. Why?
Being honey tasters, like my job is to taste honey.
No. Why? I think a large part of it is that we're still dealing with rent struggles.
Yeah, we're still dealing with bread and butter.
So we don't set our people up. We don't set our kids up, the next generation, to live their life. It's not to dictate, to say this is what you must do. You must know to live their life. If Mali wants to be whatever she wants to be a ballet dancer, she can go ahead and be that. We just have to teach her the virtues of hard work and pursuing your dreams. Say it's not going to be handed to you. You've got to work for it. So I think for me, I agree that I think the way that our pastor put it, Umagas, was exactly that in a more
eloquent
way. Yes, to say is to create that generational abundance.
Yeah. And so, what are you looking forward to for 2021 on my side? So we've been having this conversation about having another baby for many, many years. And I didn't understand where his apprehension was coming from until he made it so clear that the only reason why he's reluctant to have another baby is, one, finances, but two, I personally was not in the right space mentally, emotionally, to have another baby. I had just discovered that, I had hidden from myself that I was raped. And so if I wasn't going to deal with that, how do I expect then to bring another human being into our family in a way that is loving and that is healthy, which is part of what we're doing here with Conversations with the Love Activists. So I've gotten the clear from the Minister of Home Affairs that, we can start planning for another baby. So I'm looking forward to, I'm not pregnant. I'm looking forward to creating that space for another baby and having a completely different experience from the one we had 5 years ago. And just creating more and more abundance, more joy, more peace, more clarity, more friendship between us. That's what I know 2021 will be for us.
Yeah, I think for me 2021 is creating, I think that word abundance. And I think there is a word that that mind I shared one day over lunch, that audacity. Yeah, I think 2021 I'm going to have a lot of audacity to pursue some of the things that I want to do. I think that word, I had heard it on that comedy show. That girl that you like, the one who was saying she used to suck dick to fit in.
She's a lesbian comedian.
Yeah, it's like the things we do to
fit in.
To fit in. So one of the things she was saying was that the audacity, to be
audacious,
and to be someone like Elon Musk and all these people who've done great things in the world. You need audacity. Like even in your dreams, you have it, because your dreams are to fly to the moon and back.
Not to be able to pay rent.
Your dreams are to create an Uber between Earth and Moon. Like who does that?
Someone with audacity.
That takes audacity. That takes you not limiting your thinking, your beliefs, your confidence, you see. So because we live in a world where you get told no a lot and you get told you can't a lot. And so it's just hit me that for everything that we see today and has been done, there was someone who was told they can't do that. There was someone who was told that's not possible. I mean, even the most basic thing, like the world we live in now, where we know from space it's round. There was a time when almost everyone believed the world was flat. So that abundance, I just want abundance in my creative space, in my thinking, in my confidence, all these things that help me become who I am. And I think for my family, I wish the same. I just want the chains dropped. Because what holds us back in our mentality is chains. Yeah. We've got so many chains. We always think chains.
So much pain, so much wounding.
Yes, wounding, and so it's just abundance in healing, abundance in all things that move us forward, that create, that are positive.
That create that momentum.
Yes, and even having a child, that's abundance. A fear, my fears were mostly based on a lack. I like to give those I love nice things. I like them to be comfortable. So there was a fear that extra mouth,
And also there's a bit of financial trauma.
Yes, and
attached to pregnancy.
There's financial traumas from the past, and then even as we are now, as we're not yet where I would love us to be. We're not yet where I would want us to be. So there was that. Is this going to prolong us arriving where we want to be. So I think that's a lack mentality. So I'm leaving that behind and working smart and working with awareness, because at times I've had to learn the hard way that not all work is good work. I don't want work that makes me bring rubbish home, that changes my energy, that changes who I am. I want work that is aligned with who I am, and that helps me grow, not takes me back. Because I've done projects that did not move me forward.
That didn't profit us in any way.
Yes, you might profit in the back, but that's as far as it goes. So I just want to try and avoid things like that.
Because a big part of relationships is to help each other heal, is to show each other the unhealed places, so that we can face them, deal with them, and transcend those unhealed places. And I know for me, I've profited from this relationship a great deal, because it's forced me to heal my relationship with my mom, to forgive my dad, to forgive, entrepreneurship and business, to forgive myself. So this relationship for me is doing its job, as much as sometimes I resent it, because I'm like, why do I have to deal with all this stuff? Like, you have to, because for that generational momentum to happen, it has to be unhindered by your pain, your past, your traumas.
Yeah, I think for me it's been the same, because I've always thought there's something wrong with me in terms of I grew up being allowed to express myself, and then I ended up in relationships where it hurt people a lot when I expressed myself. And so this relationship for me has reminded me that no, it's okay to express yourself. And I think the biggest thing that this relationship has taught me is love. Like, you've got so much love, and I mean, I look at Mali and the way that you pour love onto her, and she's also just this love volcano, this love erupting everywhere. So it's such a beautiful thing, because even I'm different in that sense, as I think you see that I'm more of a hot potato sometimes. But it's so nice to know that there's so much love around, because when I go to my dark places, you guys are the light. Yeah, you are the light. I mean, you are the love that fills this family, and so for me, that's been the biggest profit, because I think sometimes in my head, love is not always the thing that is
The answer.
that not the answer. It's not always this thing that's clear. Yeah, but with you can't miss it. You have to be blind or stupid to notice. You are such a loving person. So in those moments where I'm lost and love is nowhere, there you come there with your big smile, you just so can I say goofiness. Yeah, it's refreshing, and I think especially when this lockdown without you, I think I'd have been in a bit of a mess.
Me too.
Yeah, I would have been sure. So yeah, I think we are growing, and that's the positive thing. For me, the biggest thing that raises my red flags is merry-go-rounds.
Yeah.
I hate them in real life. They make me want to vomit. And just the concept of just going around in circles is not.
Going in circles.
Yeah, whoever invented the merry-go-round should be shot. It's just a bad thing all around. And so yeah, for me, as long as I know challenges are there for you to grow,
But
I'm
you
not
can't
saying
just go on a merry-go-round.
I want a life with no challenge. No, I'm saying I want challenges that move me forward. And merry-go-rounds, it means that you're just in a loop, you're not moving in.
Yeah.
So we'll face whatever challenges come our way together. And I think how you know you've passed the challenge is that you're not on a merry-go-round.
Thank you
It's a pleasure.
for joining us,
It's a pleasure.
even though we were both very grumpy at the beginning of this.
No, I wasn't grumpy. I was just had a busy morning, a day.
I thought you were avoiding me.
I can't avoid you.
Well, avoiding this, doing this.
No. I don't mind. Actually enjoyed it.
Okay, go team. I need to pee so bad.
All right.
Bye.